This close to cracking on us, mate. I can feel it.
Alison. Let's see you running the Singapore end. You'd be Mr. Asia.
I don't know what Marty would say about that.
We'd have to kill him, of course.
Terry sent a man to the house to kill me.
You go get yourself a new life.
It's a jungle out there. It's a jungle out there.
2 weeks after Andy Maher dumped Marty Johnston's body in the Delph, a local diver found him on a ledge 2 metres below the surface. The brutality of the murder and the mutilation of the body made headlines throughout the country. What sort of animals could do this? How could they live with themselves?
I could suck it if that'd help.
His name's Marty Johnstone. He's a Kiwi. He flew in first class on British Airways from Singapore. The stewardess remembered him most particularly. You ever heard of the Mile High Club? Well, this chap fancied himself a member. Suppose in the lav, though, you'd think it'd be a tad uncomfortable. After their passion had subsided, she asks him about this medallion. It means long life. I've called the New Zealand police, and they had a few thoughts on why Johnston's not-so-long life might have ended with a bullet in the head. He was a drug dealer, apparently in partnership with another Kiwi called Terry Clark.
So his murder was drug-related?
Gordon, I do not know. Maybe his hands were gnawed off by an hungry puma, but this Clark is a chap I'd like to talk to.
Where is he?
Last known address, Neutral Bay, Sydney. What time is it down under?
Warwick? This Johnston's worked out of Singapore for the past 5 years. Now his teeth are smashed in and his hands are cut off. And he's been associated with Clark since '74.
Harry Lewis's hands were chopped off and his teeth smashed in too.
Seems our Mr. Clark has only one way of dealing with his business problems.
Marty Johnston's other sandal. It was under the seat.
Whose car is it?
A chap who never reported it stolen and who, according to customs records, spends a lot of his time in sunny Singapore, though his permanent address is on the Finchley Road.
Going there to work. I'm not going to be no courier on stuff. You do what you're fucking told, man.
Andrew Samuel Maher, I'm arresting you on suspicion of murder. The blood in your car matches Marty Johnston's, and his sandal was in the back seat. Is there anything you'd like to tell us, lad?
For most people, the nervous pressure of guilt is enormous, and confessing comes with an overwhelming sense of relief.
I did it. Killed him.
I put a gun to my head.
Jamie Smith's made a statement that you killed Marty on a man called Terry Clark's orders.
No, Terry's just a friend. He had nothing to do with it.
We understand he lives in London. Can you give us his address? Well, if, as you say, Clark had nothing to do with Marty's murder, what harm can giving us his address do? Jamie also said Marty was killed over a drug deal gone bung.
I don't know anything about the drugs.
Well, you told him you had to kill Marty or Clark would have had you killed next.
Talk to us, son. We can protect you.
You're not big enough. You can't protect me forever.
Oh, Andy, your forever's looking like 20 to life. Now,
we'll find this Clark's address. But any little thing you can do that helps us, helps you.
Just an address, yeah?
Now I got the power in every way to give you all a better day, to show you people it right away. Listen to me, then you will see I'll make you feel alright. I'm gonna make you feel alright. I got the power when I know all the bad vibes start to go. Then comes a feeling and it's starting to grow. Lighting my fire, gets me higher, making me feel alright, making me feel alright. I got power, the power to excite. I got power, I feel like dynamite. I got power, I got power, making me. I got power.
Terence Clark, I'm arresting you on suspicion of murder and suspicion of supply of grade A narcotics. I want to ask you some questions regarding your association with Martin Johnstone. How would you describe your relationship with Mr. Johnstone?
I describe it as no comment.
I've never met anyone called Martin Johnstone.
You never ever met your boyfriend's business partner?
Terry never talked to me about his business.
You over here to help run his drugs ring, do the accounts, help set up shelf companies.
I moved to London to be with Terry. I helped him by cooking.
Gets pretty hot in your kitchen. Now think carefully, Mr. Clark, before you proceed.
Sinclair. My name is Terence James Sinclair.
Terence James Sinclair, you're Terence John Clark, you're Philip Perkins, Philip James Scott, Peter Simon Hayfron, Mr. John Francis Pennington, and Mr. Andrew James Gorry.
No comment.
Let's just agree on Terry for now, shall we? You need to think how you proceed. Juries don't much admire no comment. Makes the defendant look guilty.
In fact, these were all bullshit, these charges. You don't have any real evidence.
We've got a diary full of names and addresses, including Martin Johnstone and Andy Maher's. We've got £30,000, most of which you can't account for. We've got details of payments in 3 of your aliases into a company called Cross and Mercer, a company whose director was Martin Johnstone. We've got an unregistered .38 Magnum, and we've got 10 pages of what our experts tell us are accounts and code.
blokes give me your bank accounts, I'll have 200,000 transferred by the close of business.
200 grand?
Each.
Okay.
250. Just show me the front door, eh?
Terry was charged with murder, and he and Karen were both charged with conspiracy to import and distribute prohibited drugs. But gathering evidence was painstaking, and the trial was many long months away. Still, with Terry now a guest of Her Majesty, and Alison Dine lost in America, Aussie Bob Trimboli was left wondering exactly what it was he'd forked out $2 million for. And how could he explain to his backers in Griffith that the rivers of money he promised were looking more like trickles?
Shit! Oh!
Bob, you heard what's happened? Terry got arrested in London. Fucking murder charges, for fuck's sake. He's facing fucking drug charges up to his fucking eyeballs.
Who'd he knock?
Marty, someone. Well, what are we going to do? What if he talks? What if he cuts a deal and spills his guts?
Keep your fucking voice down.
I'm really exposed here, Bob. If Terry starts talking...
Terry won't talk. He wouldn't betray us.
Oh, shit. Oh, what's wrong? Where are you going?
He's our point of attack. He connects all the corruption, the cops, the narcs, the lawyers, and Clark. We get Brian Alexander and all of this begins to collapse. The English police have agreed to let us interview Clark. He'll have info on Alexander if we can get it out of him.
There's also the small matter of getting evidence Clark arranged the Wilson murders.
Find your passport, Liz. You ought to go to London with Inspector Messina.
Pardon?
We gather Clark likes the ladies. He might respond better to questions from you. Flight's tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow? Right.
Problem, Crookshank?
No problem, sir. None.
Clark seems to assume you offer a copper a bribe, he'll take it.
I'm afraid a cohort of New South Wales State Police considers supplementary forms of income as par for the course.
I see.
We're from Victoria.
Bloke must have money to burn. He's offering us close to £1 million each by the time he realised we weren't going to oblige.
What's Clark like, sir?
Take a look for yourself.
I'm a professional gambler and an artist. But if I were an international drug dealer, I'd be a bloody successful one. I'd be worth 50 million in land and investments, trade in 5 countries, control the lives of dozens of people. If I were an international drug dealer.
So you run a heroin business in Australia. You need lots of connections, protection.
Yes, I would.
Lawyers, narcotics agents.
Coppers, judges. Yeah, I'll be very well connected.
Or pay someone who was. If you help us, we might be able to help you. We can talk to the English police, let them know how cooperative you've been.
These pommies don't strike fear in my heart, Detective Crookshank. Maybe it's years watching the All Blacks beat their rugby team, but I don't think I'm going to need your help beating any charges.
Talking of pommies, Doug Wilson names you as the murderer of Harry Lewis.
Is that your only evidence, the word of a dead junkie?
On those same tapes, Doug also talks of his fear that you'll murder him and his wife.
Us Kiwis have done pretty well against you Aussies, too.
I couldn't help notice your paintings when I came to your flat. What a thing a watercolour is to express atmosphere and distance.
So the figure is surrounded by air and can breathe in it.
Smart man. Van Gogh.
Too bad he topped himself.
Well, he was also mad.
Unlike me, Detective Crookshank.
Unlike you, Terry. A sane, smart man should know when to fight and when to talk.
This is bigger than a falling out between drug partners. It's bigger even than international rugby results. Now, if any of us is going to get this Clark, we're going to have to find someone who knows a lot about him and who has the guts to talk to us.
What about that young courier who took off to America? She might know someone.
For 2 months, Alison had thought no one could find her. But Dave Priest only had to call the FBI and they drove straight to where she worked. Everything she'd done for the last 3 years finally caught up with her. She could no longer hide. She no longer wanted to hide. They got her in a room and asked her one simple question. Could she name anyone still alive who really knew the ins and outs of Terry Clark's murderous empire?
Yeah. Me. Terry always said no one got hurt in the heroin business. Everyone I know has been hurt.
Well, you are doing the right thing now.
I just want to save what's left of my life.
She told them how Terry recruited her, how many runs they'd made, how big the profits were, where the drugs came from, how many couriers worked for them. Everything. And she told them about Terry's dark side. Wayne, Greg, Pommy. And finally, she told them one small, vital thing about the Wilson murders.
Terry got the tapes from a lawyer in Sydney, Brian Alexander.
They had a business relationship?
Terry complained about how much he paid Brian as a retainer. And I once drove Terry to Brian's office for an appointment.
You can't give us a date, can you?
May 15th. The anniversary of my mother's death.
You are not free to leave the motel without permission and an escort. There are plenty of people in this city who won't want you to testify, so if you want to go out, you ask Hugh, and he'll contact us to okay it. I also need to remind you that if at any stage you choose to not give evidence, you will be immediately charged with breaking bail and possession.
Yeah. I understand. I'll send you a reminder then. All right. Goodbye.
They are not going to let us in without a warrant.
They're shitting themselves already. They won't know what hit them.
They're lawyers. They make a fuss, we're out of there.
We need evidence on the May 15 meeting. Diaries, appointment books, memos, whatever we can get.
A lot, thanks, guys. Files, accounts, every bit of paper.
Excuse me, what do you want, detectives? What do you want?
You told us you'd never met Terry Clark. We have information. That's not true.
What's going on?
Morning, Mr. Aston. Joint Police Group sends its greetings.
I gave you a very clear last warning, which you've ignored. You're a very stupid man. Stay with him, Cooey, won't you?
It's all right. I took care of it. They won't find anything. They won't.
The page in Aston's diary for May 15th had been torn out. But the imprint on the page for May 16th supported Alison's story. There had been a meeting that day with Terry. It meant they could charge Brian with conspiracy. But the other link in the chain was an altogether tougher proposition.
We've spoken to the Queensland police who interviewed Doug Wilson. They said they gave the case file and the tapes to you.
Your point being? Terry Clark got those tapes from Brian Alexander, and Brian got them from the Narcotics Bureau.
Right. Since I was working on the Wilson case, it must have been me that passed on the tapes that got them murdered. I don't know how you joint police group blokes work, but we in the Bureau believe in cooperation. I wasn't the only one that had access to that case file. In fact, I had cause to discuss the case with several of my colleagues.
How many?
5, 6 maybe. Let me see. There was Ian, Stubbsy. I think Bob and Des were at one meeting. It was Tim Marshall, Ricky. Half the Bureau, practically.
Ahoy there!
Here we go. No head, no hands.
Permission to come on board? How'd you escape the bastards, Jack? What have you got I don't have, mate?
Looks, charm, brains.
Well, they bloody served me. Conspiracy to supply information.
You'll be right, Brian. If you don't say anything, they got nothing.
You know, I was hoping I'd... Well, I was wondering if you could maybe appear for me. Well, you know, as a character witness.
That'd confirm their suspicions of collusion, wouldn't it?
You, Dennis? You're the big detective. Scratch my back like I scratched yours all these years. Put in a good word.
Mate, so what if you're not a crook? You're a lawyer. You're all crooks.
Mate, don't worry, I'll put a few feelers out. Someone will tell us where those clams have put that mouthy little bitch, so we'll find her. And it's a deep, dark ocean out there, Brian. Have a beer. She'll be right.
Yeah, right. Busting for a slash.
Yeah, we just don't get anything on the deck. My mate's generous with his boat, very fussy about his deck.
Yeah. It's nice to have mates, eh?
Sure is.
Which mouthy little bitch is it, Dennis? Joyce? Okay.
I'll get you the list, all right?
Oh,
shit. Sorry, mate. Pissed on your foot.
Grotto, how can I help you? Love?
It's that Brian bloke. I think he's been.
What? I've got the witness list for my committal. You know who the prosecution star is? Blondie.
Alison.
What am I going to do, Bob? Last I heard, she was in America. What if she actually says what she knows? What if Terry names me? You know, I've got fucking kids, for God's sake.
A lot of ifs there, mate. If Terry goes to trial, if Alison says something.
What do I do? The fucking narcs and cops are behaving like I've trodden in dog shit.
Keep your head down and keep your bottle. That last one shouldn't be too hard. OK?
Yep, great. Thanks for that.
Brian Alexander just hopped on a plane to London.
Terry. How are you? Got a reminder of home.
I'm from New Zealand.
I suppose we could get a private room, could we?
Why? You want to have sex with me?
Yeah, I'm a big pommy poofter. Bonky, bonky, bend.
Why are you in London, Brian?
I just wanted to make sure you were going to keep us out of it, you know.
The charges against me are bullshit. I'm not worried.
Yeah. Yeah, me neither. It's the girl they've got as a witness against me. She might turn up in your trial too.
What girl? Kay Reynolds.
Not Kay. Alison.
You've got it wrong.
Why?
I know Alison. She would never speak against me.
Yeah, well, what about me?
You better fuck off back to Sydney and find out.
Guard.
Terry had always believed he could buy, kill, or charm his way out of anything. Hearing that Alison was giving evidence against the syndicate hit him hard. And what could he tell Karen, this 23-year-old solicitor he'd seduced and brought to England? She had everything to gain by washing her hands of him and everything to lose by sticking by him. And if Alison was talking, what about Bob? Now there was no more heroin coming from Asia, he knew Bob had to be doing it tough.
What's up, teddy bear?
What did I do to deserve you, eh? You've stuck by me through thick and thin. Thicker and thicker in my case.
I love you.
I love you too.
Will you do something for me then?
Prostate's the size of a tennis ball.
Take it in this case, size does matter.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a blood test.
What, does that involve needles?
Don't be a fucking wimp.
Is it the big C, Nick?
Hey, I know what'll cheer you up. Patient of mine is from Lebanon, right? He just moved back. You know what the main export of Lebanon is?
Body bags.
Cannabis resin, high grade, the best in the world. Now hold still. Now this bloke, he's got connections to some growers, serious growers, and they're looking to expand their market into the Antipodes. All they want is buyers on our end willing to put up the cash and set up an import structure. Press there.
How much?
I'll let you know the results. I've done the maths, Bob. Big enough load of hash. We're set to retire.
We could add some smack. Source it in Turkey, bring it overland. I know a bloke who works on the docks in Tripoli.
Let's do it. The more the fucking merrier.
So, how big is a big enough load?
Well, to make it worth our while getting resin all the way from Lebanon, we got to think really big.
Yeah, sure. 70 kilos, 80?
Little bit more. 5 tons. We'll clear 10 million each, Bob.
Getting Brian Alexander in front of a judge was the prime goal of the Joint Police Group. But first, a committal hearing had to determine if the case against him was strong enough to proceed to trial.
It is accurate, is it not, that you were never actually present when Clark spoke to Mr. Alexander?
I had never been present, no.
You drove him to an office on the 15th of May?
Yes.
And you say Clark gave the address on Alexander's business card?
That's right.
Do you remember the card?
Yes.
Did it have Alexander's name on it?
It had John Aston Associates, I think.
What we are asking for here are your recollections, not your guesses.
Yes.
When you came to Australia, you were involved with Terry Clark, a man you knew was deeply involved with crimes of violence, carrying firearms, dealing in heroin.
I'd fallen in love with the wrong person.
You'd fallen in love with a person who murdered Pommy Harry, yes? And who used you as a co-conspirator.
I didn't.
I'm not suggesting that your hand carried the magnum that fired the bullets into Harry's head, but you did wash out Clark's blood-stained jeans, did you not? Some of the people whom you knew were consuming drugs.
I didn't know those people.
You just said, I didn't know those people.
Yes.
But you did know Pommy Harry extremely well, didn't you?
Well, I had met Pommy. It's not the same as knowing him.
So when you said, I didn't know those people, you didn't mean for us to believe that.
Well, I should have explained better. Said that I didn't know them well.
Because to say, I didn't know Pommy Harry would be a lie, wouldn't it?
I don't understand what you mean.
You don't know what it means to lie.
I know what that is.
After 5 hours of questioning, the magistrate declared Alison was evil. He called her a despicable opportunist and transparently unreliable. He deemed her evidence worthless. And with Alison discredited, the rest of the case had all sorts of problems.
Well, what about the other evidence we've got against Alexander? The diary? The 100,000 in his bank he can't account for. Magistrate said it could have come from gambling winnings.
She's evil, and he gets off. Wouldn't happen in Victoria, and it won't at the inquest into the Wilsons' deaths.
Looks like it might turn a piss on your foot tonight, mate.
We will get these bastards.
Indeed we will. I'm calling the Vic coroner. I know he's happy for me to assist him, and this time I'll be asking why Doug Wilson had Brian Alexander's name in his little black book. I want to take this piss pot apart.
Priest.
More good news came from an unlikely source.
Evening, Prime Minister.
Given the current hoo-ha in the press over these Wilson tapes, we're planning to restructure the Commonwealth Police into a new body, federal one, federal police or some such. Give you wider powers, greater scope, including the responsibility for tracking narcotic smuggling.
What about the Federal Narcotics Bureau?
There won't be any need for it, given this new allocation of responsibilities.
And the Bureau's staff?
I'm sure the heads of the new Australian Federal Police will be able to re-employ some of them. And as for the others, well, they'll still be customs officers, of course, just no longer directly involved with narcotics, sadly.
From more than 200 officers in the Federal Narcotics Bureau, less than half were invited to join the newly formed Federal Police.
Morning, John. Good day. Oh, what's this, Sonny? Bonus.
I'm afraid I'm letting you go. You're giving us a bad name, Brian. I'm sorry.
Should have listened to your tip, shouldn't I, Bob?
You never go wrong with me, Danny.
Yeah, that's what everyone says. So, what about this Lebanon deal? Peltos know what he's doing?
Oh, absolutely. Nick's the man I'd trust with my life. Oh, here's the master criminal now. Nick, this is Danny Chubb I was telling you about.
G'day.
G'day.
Can I have a word?
Hey, we're all friends here, mate.
And I love you like a brother, but I need to talk to Bob alone. Hey, listen. You know that test we did? I'm really sorry, Bob. You got cancer. Full-blown prostate cancer.
Right, where were we? Danny, we were thinking you might be our transport manager. How would you be at rustling up a couple of semi-trailers?
Job's that big, huh?
You must have won big time, hey?
I got me test results. I'm clear.
What? No.
Not a spot of cancer in me.
Bobby, that's great.
Here, so I'll send it on Nuga.
And Dr. Baltos was sure. I mean, what did he say?
Well, he said we'd be doing it like bunnies for the next 100 years. Here, hold on, have a whiz.
They often say that good things come in glass. The question is, how was it glass? Gloss, I thought it was. But how they get there is an art in itself. And the art, of course.
G'day, mate. Good to see Alison back.
Miss Di, do you want some fish and chips?
How you going?
Better than a couple of days ago.
It's good. Your evidence. It's helpful. It'll certainly be helpful in the Wilson inquest. The coroner set a date. Now, an inquest is different to a committal. There'll be no one out to destroy you this time. And Brian won't be there watching. How well did you know him?
Is that question again? Not well.
But he paid you bail.
No, that was Bob.
Bob?
Bob Jones. He's the organisation's retail manager, I suppose.
In Australia? Who is he? Just some shifty drunkard?
Bob's harmless. Everyone's mate. And he certainly knew a lot of people.
Did he go by any other names?
I don't think so. We all just used to call him Aussie Bob.
Bob Trimboli, initiated member of the Ndrangheta.
That means the mafia.
Well, he always called himself Bob Jones when I knew him.
Alison, why didn't you mention him earlier?
Well, you asked me about couriers and importers. Bob was more on the distribution side.
You say he put up $2 million for the Australian end of Terry's operation.
That makes him a major player.
You must have known that.
It's just Bob always seems sort of harmless.
Bob Trimboli may well have been responsible for the murder of Donald McKay. Did he ever mention the name McKay to you?
No! Look, I'm sorry I didn't mention him sooner, but I've told you everything I know about him now. I swear it.
The Wilson inquest is coming up in a few days, and your evidence has to be credible, Alison. You have to be clear and certain. Can you stand up, under oath, and identify this man as the bloke who introduced Terry Clark to Brian Alexander?
It's Bob Trimboli. He was the one.